Thank you very much. I first want to start by thanking Ed. Which table are you sitting at? I can't see you. Over here? Oh, Ed, thank you, and your whole team at the Public Policy Forum for both your work across the country, but also creating a platform to recognize and celebrate innovations in public policy. This is a really exciting night for me, and I'm so grateful to your organization for making it happen. I'm super excited to have my name on the same piece of hardware as Frank McKenna's. I can check that off my bucket list. So thank you for that. I want to congratulate my co-honorees. I am really humbled to be categorized in the same evening as all of you. I've had a great pleasure of actually crossing paths with both Karen as the president of the International Women's Federation when I was a rookie member, and Zita Cobb, who agreed generously to keynote the very first conference of the Pond-Deshpande Center. And her talk about Fogo Island moved the audience to tears and lit a fire in me that we can do a better job building sustainable, thriving communities in Atlantic Canada. I would also not be standing here tonight without the support of a generous, strong mentor. He's a former awardee of the Frank McKenna Award as well, Mr. Jerry Pond, who's one of the co-founders. Jerry is a co-founder of the Pond-Deshpande Center, and I have to tell you, it's incredible what one can accomplish when you have somebody like Jerry standing behind you and believing in you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm really blessed to lead two transformational organizations that are really focused on pushing the boundaries to create innovations in socioeconomic systems change. Like, don't you all want to work in socioeconomic systems change? It sounds awesome. It's the coolest thing ever. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it tonight, but I don't have a lot of time, so I'll do it as efficiently as I can. That socioeconomic system change started by building a whole new generation of entrepreneurs. We truly believed that if we could put out these creative venture creators into the ecosystem in Atlantic Canada, we would create a thriving economy in our region. And we did. We made our mark. But we noticed that there was something wrong with the model. Somehow, our economic framework funneled the same amount of wealth into the hands of 8 men in this world as it did to 3.6 billion of our poorest. How can we do a better job of sharing the wealth? How can we create more equitable communities? We are Atlantic Canadians. If anybody can figure out how to do that, that's us. We are some of the kindest, most compassionate, most collaborative people in the world, and we were sure that we could figure out a plan to address this. So what we started to do was to focus on organizations that were designed in their business model to distribute their wealth in a more proportionate way. And instead of one bottom line, they had 3: profit, people, and planet. Now, in the last 7 years, we've put just under $1 million in helping to launch 220 of these impact ventures in Atlantic Canada. And we're thrilled to see the impact that they're having in changing the mindset of how we can do business differently and more prosperously for all. But it wasn't where our learning stopped. We realized that the region had a lot of complex systemic issues that entrepreneurship alone wasn't going to resolve. The private sector alone can't solve these problems. This is an all hands on deck endeavor. If we want to address complex issues like a declining and aging population, an ever-growing, more vulnerable Earth, a generational poverty issue, we need private sector, public sector, our academic and community groups at the same table. But how do you do that? So we took this big leap of faith, and with the help of the J.W. McConnell Family Foundation in Montreal and the government of New Brunswick, we created a crazy thing called a Public and Social Innovation Lab. and it's called NewLab, N-O-U-L-A-B. Check it out, newlab.org. And this organization facilitates and convenes those stakeholders from all those groups, leaders from those groups, and we lock them in a room and we don't let them out until they all agree and figure out on good solutions to our problems. No, we convene them around understanding problems as systems. And we take the approach of understanding what the root causes of our systemic problems are. And then we use the entrepreneurial method to brainstorm creative ideas, to build prototypes, and to experiment. We're in the third phase of our economic immigration lab that's looking at the question of how might we retain newcomers. And we have prototypes on the nursing shortage, on simplifying the way that we hire newcomers into our private sector, on creating more welcoming schools, among many other different programs. And this transformative change is giving us solutions with all hands on deck. And we have much more buy-in across the sectors when we do it from the beginning. Now lastly, as I wrap up, we learned that that's not even good enough. You can't have everybody at the table. You can't just do entrepreneurship. We realized we haven't had the right people at the decision-making table. Unfortunately, across Canada, in all sectors, our leadership is very homogeneous. And a system is only as good as the people who design it. So no policy, no program, no venture, no system is going to be effective and sustainable and beneficial for all if we don't have the right designers at the table building that system. So why don't we live up to our reputation as Atlantic Canadians as kind and collaborative, and think tonight about how diverse are our leadership teams? Who are you mentoring, grooming, voting for public office? How welcoming is your organization for hiring and accessibility to a diverse workforce? So I leave that with you tonight, because for me, that's our most important challenge, is changing the dynamic of who's at the table and making sure we take full advantage of the diverse mosaic that is our Canadian population. It is a huge economic opportunity, and we'd be crazy to pass up on it. One last note, I want to acknowledge my husband, Francois. We are raising 3 teenagers together. We both have dynamic, rewarding careers. We're caring for our aging parents. This is a journey we are on that is hardcore, and none of what I can do is possible without his unconditional love and support, and the fact that he is a full 50% partner in this journey we call life. So thank you.